I'm joined by Richard Shepherd from Canon Europe. Richard, thanks for taking some time out to talk to me.
No problem at all.
We are, of course, talking about nothing other than the Canon EOS 6D. Can you tell me a little bit about this new camera?
So the EOS 6D is Canon's latest launch. It's our smallest and lightest full-frame digital SLR, aimed exclusively at, aimed at landscape, portrait, and travel photographers.
So where does it fit in the range? Is it between a 7D and a 5D Mark III, or?
Well, these days the range is difficult to draw in a straight line because, of course, the mid-range now offers tremendous choice for the user. So you have the 60D, which is a great sort of camera when you first start getting really into your photography. It's often people's first, I hesitate to use the word serious camera, but first camera with dedicated controls and main dial on the back and all the sort of photographic controls, so you can change settings quickly and easily. And then, of course, we have the 7D, which is for those who want to take pictures of sports and wildlife, so high speed frame rate, high speed autofocus system. Then we have the 6D, which is your sort of full frame alternative. If you're actually more interested in landscapes, portraits, then you're up to the 6D.
So is it the type of camera that a 60D owner might upgrade to, or do you see them as actually occupying a similar space just for different types of photographers?
Some might upgrade from a 60D to a 60 or one of our previous XXD models. You might go straight from a 650D or similar into 60. Some may desire full frame over the speed and durability of the 70, and actually would prefer to go to a 60 as well. So there's people coming from all sorts of directions.
And of course it could be people who've already got a 5D Mark III who want a backup body or a B camera, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Works with all your lenses.
Works with all your lenses, has
same coverage.
Same, very similar interface.
Yeah.
It's an excellent backup body for.
All right, let's talk about the sensor. What's the resolution?
So it's 20.2 megapixel full frame sensor.
So this is a new sensor. This isn't a recycled one.
No, this is a brand new sensor for this product, designed to be the sort of best balance between cost and pixels and high ISO sensitivity.
So I mean, it's pretty close in terms of number of pixels to a 5D Mark III and a 5D Mark II. It's not like, say, what Nikon have done and they've gone for like vastly different resolutions. This is, and there's only 2 or 3 megapixels in it, or in the case of a Mark II to a 6D, there's only 1 megapixel in it. Why choose 20.2? Where did that figure come from?
Well, it's a balance made in the R&D process. It's an optimum.
They throw 3 dice, and
it's unfortunately not as interesting as that. It's much more. It's carefully worked out based on a number of variables.
So how would the image quality? I mean, obviously it is a newer sensor, I presume, than a Mark III. How would the image quality compare? I mean, the resolution is similar.
The image, to a 5D.
To a Mark III.
5D Mark III. So 5D Mark III, exactly. The resolution is similar. The processing is similar. So you'd have to say similar in terms of image quality.
Okay. We'll have to test one before we put them
of
side
course,
by side.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in pre-production stage, so it's difficult to actually say this is XX stops better than thing, which is obviously what you all like to hear.
That's what we do.
That's what you guys do. Yeah.
So obviously it's not just about stills these days, it's about video as well.
Yeah.
Looking at the specifications, it appears to have the same video modes as the Mark III. Would that be right?
Very, very similar video modes to the 5D Mark III.
So the important thing there is that you've got the choice of 2 different types of compression.
Yeah, so you've got the all-eye, which effectively takes every single image, and you've got the IPB, which uses previous and future frames to reference to a keyframe to make up the final image.
So this makes it an even more tempting B camera for a 5D Mark III shooter, doesn't it? Because they're shooting, you could shoot all intra-frame video on both of them and mix it quite easily on the timeline when you're editing.
Exactly.
In terms of looking forward on to the other video features, it does have a microphone input.
It does, yes.
But does it have a headphone jack on it?
It doesn't have a headphone jack.
So that's one of the main video differences.
One of the main video differences.
Any other differences in video in terms of video?
Slight internal differences, sort of buried deep down in the specifications, but it's, as you say, very similar to the 5D Mark III.
And you still obviously have full manual control over exposures if you want to do that.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Is the screen, if you just turn the camera around, that 3.2 inch 1040k dot?
3-inch.
3-inch, so
Yeah.
it's smaller than the Mark III screen.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Right, but same resolution.
Same resolution. Yeah.
Okay, and it's a 3:2 aspect ratio screen.
Yeah. So that you don't get any cropping when you're viewing your images back.
Okay. Now, so far, if somebody's watching this and they're looking at it, they go, okay, it looks so far so normal, looks like, kind of normal camera. But there's two really special things about this camera that are first for any Canon EOS, right?
That's right, yes. There's
2 radios in the head.
2 radios in the head. We have GPS and Wi-Fi.
Are they on those sides that you put? Is that just
They
arbitrary?
they are either side.
Wi-Fi on one side. And
Wi-Fi on one side, GPS on the
Yeah.
other side. In the prism up here. So GPS, of course, allows you to tag your images with location data. Also allows the camera also will do a track of your day, so you can view your route on a map later when you download to a PC and see all your images placed on the map. Wi-Fi allows you to do a number of things: transfer images between cameras, print via PicBridge wirelessly. Also, with the new EOS Remote smartphone apps available for iOS and Android devices, you can view images back on the camera on your tablet or smartphone, but also you can remotely control your.
So it's like having the EOS utility on a smartphone.
It's similar. It's not the same level of control as a.
But with a Wi-Fi range, though.
So yeah, with a Wi-Fi range.
Now, I've got to ask, how easy is it to get an image straight from that camera onto, say, Instagram via the Wi-Fi? Does the software exist to just pass it through?
Straight through to Instagram, no, it doesn't exist. Facebook, yes, and Canon Image Gateway, of course, yes, but to other websites, no.
Is that because it's not been worked out yet, or because you're just not going to do that?
It's still under consideration.
Please do it. Here's a request for all the Instagram fanatics out there. It would be really nice if you could do that, if you could make that easy.
Well, it's always great to have some feedback, so we'll take that into consideration.
Now, the thing that prevented you putting GPS and Wi-Fi into previous, say, 5D series, I was always told anyway, was this just a myth? Was it that it had a metal head and the radio waves couldn't get through? Was that really the reason?
Well, that is one of the reasons, yes.
So this presumably doesn't have, because it is part magnesium alloy, the body, isn't it?
So it's mostly magnesium alloy, in fact. So the front and the back are all magnesium alloy, and then we have polycarbonate plastic on the top.
And that's what allows those.
And that's what allows the Wi-Fi and the GPS to get out or in, respectively.
And that's the difference between that and, say, a 5D Mark III.
Yes.
So does that make it inherently less robust from the top? If you were to drop that and a 5D Mark III on their heads, would this one more likely break?
The 5D Mark III is, of course, much more of a professional tool, and so is more durable than something like the 6D. So it would be fair to say that the 5D Mark III is more robust than a 6D.
In terms of technology, I love the fact that it's got Wi-Fi and GPS. I've been waiting for you guys to do this for so long, so I'm very, very grateful to hear that. But there will be people who will immediately go, oh no, it's just going to drain my battery. Presumably you can switch them both off,
of course,
as if they didn't exist.
You can switch them both off, so as if they didn't exist.
If they're both switched on, does it really drain the battery?
Well, this is, I haven't got any firm data for you on that at the moment. Wi-Fi works for approximately 5 hours on a single battery charge if you're continually transferring images.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you're out taking some pictures, doing a bit of Wi-Fi stuff, I think it gives you a day's shooting, no problem at all.
And what about the GPS acquisition times? We've not seen that yet. If you were to, say this is the first time you switch this camera on, say you're in the UK, you've just arrived in Cologne in Germany, you switch the camera on, how long typically would it take for that GPS to acquire?
I'm afraid I don't have any data for you on that.
Sitting around, the moment's passed, the kids have not smiling anymore. The giraffe that was walking across the street is gone. Come on, GPS!
Well, it's more important to capture the shot in that
Sure.
situation, isn't it? I wouldn't advise you to wait for the GPS signal just so you have the location data.
Now, interestingly, at the same time you launched the 60, you launched the PowerShot S110. Now, I didn't mention I was going to talk about that, so I won't be unfair.
No, because I don't know anything about it, which
let me
is
tell you
brutally honest.
Let me tell you a thing or two about the PowerShot S110. It has Wi-Fi, and the old model had GPS.
Yes.
And they switched it round.
Yes.
And the Wi-Fi can actually talk to a smartphone and get the GPS signal from that.
Yes, it can.
Whereas this has the integrated GPS.
Yes.
can you talk about at all why the decision was made to put GPS in there as opposed to using it via a smartphone?
So with the 110, you have an app on the smartphone which records a log of your GPS position throughout the day,
Right.
and then at the end of the day you sync your camera back up with your phone,
Right.
and it adds all the data to your images.
I see.
So this is a much more complete solution.
Yeah, it's a more integrated solution.
And
isn't
of
it?
course, with all product development, you have to make choices. And with S100 is a lot smaller than this, so the space to include both Wi-Fi and GPS just wasn't there to include all the other features we wanted to include.
Well, you had a good go answering that. I know you didn't want to talk about the PowerShopper, so I'll move back onto the EOS. Looking at the other kind of core DSLR specs on this, the autofocus system is just phase change. You don't get anything clever like on-sensor phase detect.
No,
like
so
on
it
the
doesn't
EOS
have hybrid AF like the 650D.
Why not?
Or the EOS M.
I thought you were pioneering with the 650D had it, which the T4i, and the EOS M has it, and now a new DSLR and it doesn't have it.
Well, it's a different product. This is it's about making choices.
Okay.
So we've gone for a compact, lightweight, and full-frame digital SLR, great for travel photography. Whereas 650D and EOS M doesn't have a phase detection autofocus system, so it needs a hybrid system as well. They're just aimed at different markets.
And just wrapping up those other specs, so it's an 11-point AF system.
Yeah,
How many cross?
with a single cross point in the
Just
center,
in the middle, really?
just in the
Okay.
middle. Which is sensitive down to -3 EV, which is about the same level of light you get from a full moon.
Okay. And continuous shooting, is it 4.5 frames per second?
4.5 frames a second.
Do you know off the top of your head, this is a difficult one to just keep bombarding you with numbers here. Do you know how many frames, how many RAW or JPEG frames? Can you keep shooting JPEGs at that rate until you run out of memory?
JPEGs, I believe, are pretty unlimited. Depends on, of course, the size of your card. The RAW files, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Now, it's not a 100% coverage viewfinder though, is it?
It's a 97% viewfinder.
Is that because you wanted to keep the weight and the cost down, or because you thought it's not necessary on this class of product?
It's a balance between. It's not that it's not necessary. It's a balance between getting it compact and lightweight.
And it's got a single memory card slot,
It has a
which
single
is SD.
SD slot. Yeah.
Do you know where I'm going with this? Do you know about the Nikon D600?
I do know of the Nikon D600.
Not allowed to talk about it though.
Well, I couldn't comment on a competitor's product which I haven't seen.
You should hear what they say about yours.
Well, that's their lookout.
Well, the interesting thing for me about the D600 is that it does beat the 6D on some specs like continuous shooting, viewfinder coverage, AF points. It's obviously a couple extra megapixels, twin SD memory card slots. There's a lot of people who, when they heard about the 6D, they went, oh, because they'd heard about the 600D before and it sounded specs-wise like the Nikon had beaten it, but then yours has got the GPS and the Wi-Fi.
And it's lighter.
And it's like, and it is the small, because I mean, to look at it, it looks like a kind of slightly beefed up, maybe not even beefed up 60D.
It's about a millimetre taller than a 60D.
And only a few
Very
grams
similar.
heavier, right?
And only a few grams heavier. Yeah.
Cool. I can't wait to test it.
Excellent. Well, I'll hopefully get you a sample as soon as possible.
That's what we like to hear. Thank you very much for talking to us.
No problem at all.